This is a pretty awesome racing set for the PS4. Alright, so I've got a little box coming in from Logitech, which we're just about to open. There's actually two boxes, so I'm going to open this side as well, just to get in there. Because of everything that's happened in the world, I figured that this might be as good a time as any to get some gaming on. This is the Logitech G29 driving force steering wheel with pedals, compatible with the PS4 and PS3, as you can just about see there, with the Logitech driving force shifter, which is a gear lever. The two of them are currently on sale for £199. Excuse the microphone stand there. And they look very nice. They're not the creme de la creme of racing wheels, however they are held in very high regard. This being the PlayStation 1, it does look notably different to the Xbox One, but I believe it's also compatible with the PC, so we should be able to do some PC gaming as well for whenever the littler ones are monopolizing the PlayStation, which happens a lot. So we'll get stuck in and see what's inside the box. On the back it says dual motor force feedback, on-screen game controls, 24-point selection dial, RPM shift indicator leads, non-linear braking pedal, real leather metal components, and a secure mounting. Now that's the one thing that I think is going to be missing on this is mounting. Using this on your PlayStation 4 in the living room will probably dictate that people need to get some form of driving chair or holder for this so that you can maximize your comfort and ability. So just some simple adjustments there to make it easier to see. On the top we have a piece of paper, which is the most exciting thing to see whenever you get a nice gaming racing wheel. It details the contents of what we should be having, or should be finding in the box, and also the installation instructions. One page, dead simple. So on the top we have okay, sorry about that, I had to switch around microphones because that was way too noisy. Right, we have a power brick here, which is our AC adapter. In case you're looking for this in a cupboard somewhere because you haven't used it since the last pandemic, this is what it looks like. It's got that kind of gubbins on the back, and it's got one of those, and it's got one of these. Right, it also has a standard 3-pin UK plug. Always useful in the UK. We get a play set. Oh, this is what we need. Yeah, okay. Next time on Tech Addicts. Yeah, this looks pretty swanky. There's a beach chair, and then a slightly better looking play set. A really nice looking play set. A very professional looking play set, which is sponsored by Project Cars. There is another driver being successful outside in his driving chair, which is obviously probably not recommended. It would get rusty and things like that. People may steal it. There you can put a screen on there. There's a tri-screen setup. Play seating stores. Yeah, okay, we'll have to check those out later on. Yeah. We have the important safety regulations, warranty information. And the first thing I happen to pull out of the box is the pedals. They're pretty heavy. Right. Someone said in a review that they were a bit plasticky. Okay, this may be plastic. If they're expecting this not to be made of plastic, I'd love to know what they would expect it to be made of. This is obviously your clutch. Quite a bit of movement there. Quite not the easiest to push, but then I suppose you're using your foot, so it's stronger than your hand. Then your foot brake, which has a small amount of travel, not very much, not as much in my car. And then your accelerator, which should see a fair bit of usage going forward. Get used to that. You're going to be doing that a lot, not a lot of that. And it connects via a VGA connector, or just a serial connector. Now, the one thing that I was most interested in was the length of the cable. See how well this. I'm not entirely sure how to set this up just yet. So I'm guessing this probably goes into the steering wheel. I don't quite know just yet. I know right now. So we take that, plug it into the steering wheel, and then the steering wheel goes into the power, and then this goes into the PlayStation 4 via USB cable. Okay, so yes, I was correct in my assumption. So this doesn't need to be particularly long, and it is reasonably long. It's about 3 meters, I would suggest. 3 meters, that's about 26 feet. You can see there how the mechanism actually works. It's there's plastic, or no, that's metal too. And then metal in the back there, so that you push that down. It looks quite sturdy, and it's not going to break too easily. Should see a good bit of action. The underside of it, we have some rubber feet. There looks to be 2, 4, 6, 8 in total. And then there's this plate here which has some spikes on it that I just gouged my finger on. Obviously keep the kids away from that. Maybe you can put that, that's probably so that once it's installed, those go into the carpet to stop it moving on the carpet. I'd like to think, but I don't know how to deploy them now. They look a bit like those stinger type things that the police use to stop speeding cars. And there's a couple of bolts there that must be for the seats that you can buy. There's 6 in total. So yeah, they've put in some future planning. All right. Well, I'm dead excited about getting this plugged in and getting it going. Here there is a little bit of grip for the heel of your shoe or slipper or your foot. It doesn't, I guess you don't really need too much in the way of texture here. Your foot's not going to slide off it too easily whenever you get it all set up and comfy under you. And next up we have the wheel. I would say that there's enough space for that force shifter to go in the box, which is a wee bit frustrating. Perhaps it was supposed to be, but as they decided to put on flappy paddles, then the force shifter then became null and void. But if you're a hardcore race fan like myself, you look forward to a bit of a gear shift. Also, it will work for particularly different games like off-roading games and stuff like that. That'll be cool. Maybe spin tires or something like that. All right, so we have the leather around the outside. We have a bunch of decent clicky buttons. We have obviously the PlayStation array here. The back button here, a turny dial, R2, R3, L2, L3, because obviously we don't have the joysticks, but I'm guessing this doubles as left and right in some cases. I wouldn't go playing Rayman on this, but and then we have plus and minus, share, option, and the PlayStation button itself. Obviously this is geared toward the PlayStation 4, so you have the share option, the share option buttons that you don't have on the PlayStation 3. I don't know what they'll do on the PlayStation 3, but one can only surmise. I don't know if that's for volume or whatever, or just something in-game. I can't think on a PlayStation controller what that actually means. But I suppose you're missing 2 joysticks or thumbsticks, so maybe it's got something to do with that, and the back button as well. Looking around it, on this side we have these little roundy jobby things that pop up. Not that I knew that they popped up, I just happened to do that and they popped up. I believe those extend the legs so that it can grasp onto a table. And we have a little piece of, it is plastic there, two plastic. So when you pinch your table, be aware that this is plastic going onto plastic. So if you're doing it on your mother's nice dining room table, you may scrape it. There's a possibility of that. Still haven't quite worked out what I'm going to attach this to. It doesn't look exactly comfortable to play on your lap. Most people probably wouldn't recommend that, but I'm sure there's got to be some kind of configuration for that. If you were to put it all the way back up again. That's what it looks like. So there's little feet for it to sit on if needed. Right, round the back. This is where the ports are. No, it's not. It looks a bit like the front of a car. If you put headlights in here, I suppose the grille there might be a bit of a Mustang, perhaps. Am I getting a vibe of a Mustang? The bonnet going up here. Maybe I'm thinking of something else, but that's what it does. Me putting this back down again. Somehow it pops back up. Just turn it slightly and it pops up. Yep. We have some cable management here, obviously for plugging in the pedals. We have some mounting screws here for whatever you are mounting. Actually, it's easy to store if you set it down on the wheel itself. The buttons don't get in the way, which is quite nice. See? USB cable. This is the fascinating bit to see if this actually reached the PlayStation 4 from my armchair. It appears to be slightly shorter than the ones that come with the foot pedals. Maybe about 2.5 meters long, this, so in my living room that's not going to reach. So we're going to be moving all the furniture. Fair enough. USB at the end, fairly thick cable. I wouldn't say that these are the greatest connectors, or flexible connectors for the cable passing into the device, but given that this is kind of sheltered from day-to-day life, it may last a good bit longer than you would expect. There are obviously cables that come in here, so that's where that connects into there for the VGA. No, that's for the foot pedals. That's for the that's for the stick shift, and that's the foot pedals there. And we have the power cable here, so we have 1, 2, 3, and then a fourth one for you to use at your leisure. Find something to put in there, perhaps string. You could store string in there, small individual stringettes. And then round this side, there's not much other than this and this again. So yeah, if I was to set this up, it feels pretty good to use so far. Obviously it's not turned on, so there's no movement to it. And I'm not plugging it in just to see what it's like. I'll plug it in directly to the PlayStation 4 before I do anything. We have a nice blue band up here to match the PlayStation-ness of it, because of the blue themes that PlayStation uses. And then the flappy paddles, which are nicely made of metal. They're not thrown in at the last minute, as I may have suggested before. They've obviously been purposely designed to be here, and they're not a tacky plastic. I never actually thought what the materials used for the flappy paddles would be when I purchased it, but now that they've come through with a nice brushed metal finish, I think they really do look the piece. And to be honest, I don't know if I'm going to use the next item that we're going to look at, which is the gear shifter. No, it's not the driving force shifter, which is a gear stick. Just a gear stick. But we're going to open it and have a look at it, because I am still excited about it. I did opt for the pack that had this included, and then thinking about it over the next couple of days, I don't see the point in having this, but being a hardcore race fan, I'll take what I can get. Get a racing helmet as well, a fireproof suit, some leggy women to flag me off. Sorry, don't mind me. Right, okay, here we go. We have installation instructions as to how to connect this up to the rest of it, which we've already worked out, but then you may have lost your originals and bought this separately. Okay, so here we have the shifter. Okay, so sitting in neutral, we go all the way across. See here we have 6 gears on the top plus reverse way over and down. So fired across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Reverse. It kind of sits about here, so I do suggest that maybe perhaps you might get 1 and 3 mixed up. And you can push it down to go into reverse actually, but you can still put it in. But I guess it needs to be powered up before you start messing around with this sort of thing. We have the connectors on the back there so that we can attach it to a desk of some description. We have this as well, which is an extra one, which is just raw plastic that goes directly against whatever it is you happen to be attaching this to. But there's a certain amount of space here. Maybe it just keeps it a bit steadier whenever it's attached on. Is there a stopping point for this? There is actually. So you cannot use this with a table that is thinner than this, but I guess you're probably not going to be able to find those too easily. Yeah. Here we have 2 more bolts for whatever array that you're putting it into. Nothing too extra about those. Some nuts that are, well, that's a bit loose actually, as it's supposed to be. Well, that one's moving as well, so okay. This is nicely leather effect. This is nicely leather. We have the Logitech logo under a nice piece of protective plastic, and it all looks really quite nice. I think this is a... Oh, and we have another connector as well, which is the connecting end of the VGA connector that we have on the foot pedal thing. And that obviously goes into the steering wheel. We'll check the cable length as well, just to make sure. And that one's merely about 3 meters. Okay, so I can't imagine you using this 3 meters away from the steering wheel unless you're Mr. Tickle. So that's a possibility. So that's your 3 pieces. I have to go and hook these up to the PlayStation 4 and see how they work, and improvise some kind of solution to get them all comfortable with my armchair. I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll get something together at some stage. So let me know if you have any questions. Hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Remember to tune in to TalkSport on a Wednesday morning at midnight for Inspect Your Gadget with myself and Jason and Andy, chatting about the weird and wonderful world of gadgets. There's also the Tech Addicts podcast you can download and listen to at your leisure, available from all the great podcast aggregators around this world and on Spotify. And other than that, take care.